Hi, I'm Sim from Heirloom Naturally. We grow old-fashioned vegetables and seeds in the field without chemicals in the wonderful high country town of Mansfield, Victoria. Now, I've been promising for some time to bring you a video of how I plant our Egyptian walking onion seed sets, and today is the day. It is mid-April here in Victoria, and to be honest, we don't normally plant our Egyptian walking onion seed sets until late April to about mid-May. It is an ongoing process because everything that we do here is by hand, and so it does take a little bit of time to get all of our Egyptian walking onion seed sets in the ground. But I know that there are a lot of you who are so excited and keen to get your seed sets planted. So I thought that I would put them in the ground a couple of weeks earlier than we normally would. But in all honesty, you can put your seed sets in the ground anytime from the beginning of April through to late June, early July. So it's certainly not too early, it's certainly not too late. In fact, who knows, it might be just right. Now, when you see the process that I undertake to plant these, you'll probably go, is that it? Yeah, that's it. Egyptian walking onions are, I believe, one of the easiest vegetables that you can grow in your garden. And it's why I love them so much, because they really are a set and forget crop for us here in our market garden, where everything is done by hand. So the more crops that I can have in the ground that don't require a lot of care and attention, the better. But also because they are just so delicious and divine to eat. So let's get to it. I'll show you how simple it is, and hopefully that will inspire you to get out into your garden today and plant your seed sets of Egyptian walking onions. Okay, so first things first is to prepare your bed. Now, we're no-till here at Heirloom Naturally, so we don't rotary hoe or do anything like that to our bed. Really, all that we do after a crop is to remove any of the above ground leafy matter that might still be there. As a veggie farmer, we don't tend to have a lot of that, but if there is, we remove it at ground level, leaving all of the roots inside the soil to feed all of the earthworms and the microorganisms that are there. So we've prepared the bed. Then what we do is we simply add about a 2.5 centimetre layer of compost on top of the bed. We have broad forked it beforehand, which you can do with a standard garden fork. A broad fork really is just simply a broader version of your garden fork. And that's just simply a matter of pushing the fork into the ground, giving it a little bit of a wiggle and pulling it out again. We're not actually turning the soil over with that, we're just helping to aerate it. Then that 2.5 centimetres of compost on top, and all of the lovely living biology within the soil will help to bring that organic matter down to the roots of the next crop that we have in the ground. Now, don't get too concerned about, is it 2.5 centimetres? Is it 2 centimetres? Is it 3 centimetres? Really, all that we're trying to do is to add some extra organic matter to the soil, which in turn feeds the crops themselves. Now, if you need to, you can add a little bit of organic fertiliser to the soil. It might be a blood and bone, it might be a dynamic lifter, anything like that. But don't add too much. Like all onions, Egyptian walking onions really don't like a lot of fertiliser in the soil. So just a little bit of a sprinkle. Now, of course, the other thing that you'll need are your Egyptian walking onion seed sets. And these are they. Now, you'll see here that there are a number of different sizes. So this one here is quite large. Then we have this one, which is kind of small to medium, I guess you would say. And then you will also see these ones, which are quite tiny, but surprisingly enough, we do find that all three sizes will give us decent sized onions at the end of the season. So if you purchase your seed sets from us, you'll find that you'll have a bit of a cross section, I guess, of different size bulbils, and they will all grow equally well for you. So tip number one is that you don't need to separate these out. If you've grown garlic before, you will know that it's really important to separate out the individual cloves before planting. Certainly with these, if you wanted to do that, if you had the time to do it, if you had the energy to do it, you can do it, and they will size up just as well as if you plant them in a cluster. But quite frankly, I don't have the time and I don't have the energy. And as I say, they do grow just as well in a cluster. So we plant ours in a cluster and we don't recommend that you individually separate them out. However, you can, it's up to you. I'll leave that in your capable hands. The other question that I'm often asked is, which way should I plant them up? Now I'm going to come over here and grab a different one for you. What we try to do at Heirloom Naturally with our seed sets is to leave a little bit of this stem on the bottom. Now the key word there is on the bottom. So if you consider that these are planted and over winter they will start to swell and expand in the ground. Then in spring they'll send up their central stalk, which has these seed sets on top, which are effectively next year's onions. So what you see on the bottom there, that stem, is that green stalk from which these sit on top of. So if you see that, that's a really easy indicator of which side is down. So we would be planting these down, and you can have a look there and notice that there's pointy ends on top of these onions. And very similarly to garlic, you want the pointy ends to be facing up. Now that gets really tricky with Egyptian walking onion seed sets, because if I come over to something like this is almost a sphere really of bulbils. And so trying to find which way is up on this would be quite tricky. The reality with Egyptian walking onion seed sets is that I could just throw that there, however it lands, and let it grow. It will take root and it will right itself. So these ones on the bottom here, that are the pointy end is actually facing down there. What you'll find if you left it in the ground like that is that this will start to shoot upwards. So don't get too concerned about, oh gosh, you know, I've got this massive cluster here. How on earth am I going to figure out which way is up? Just sort of find the side with the most pointy up. It's not very good English, but anyway, and plant it that way. Okay, the only other thing really is that we plant ours about 20 centimetres apart. You can go wider if you would like. Our soil is in really good conditions, so 20 centimetres for us tends to work really well. And then it really is as simple as doing it like this. So our beds are about 75 centimetres wide, so I know I can get 3 sets across the bed. So we'll space it 1. There's a little stem on that one. So 2, and another little stem on the end of that one, and 3. So you can see there that they're spaced about 20 centimetres apart. Then quite simply, and this is where you need that layer of compost on the top to make things easier for you. If you have very friable soil, then this shouldn't be a problem either. If you have hard soil, then you might need to break it up a little bit. But adding this 2.5 centimetre layer of compost makes your life very, very easy, because all that we need to do now is simply push these into that layer of compost. So we're pushing, pushing, pushing. I'm being quite gentle when I do this, but if you find that one of the bulbils happen to break off in the process, that's okay. All that we would do is we'd just simply push it in beside the one that it fell off of. So they're pushed in, then we simply put the compost on top, firm it down, and that, my friends, is how we plant our Egyptian walking onions. As I said earlier, certainly not rocket science. We'll give this a water in today. It's a lovely sunny day, but as they grow over winter, we don't find that they need any additional water. We don't find that they need any additional fertilizer. These will start to shoot. They will do their thing over winter, size up in spring, send up next season's seed sets for us, and then with a view really to harvesting the entire crop late December, early January to eat, to cure, and to reseed again next April. So that's it. If you haven't already bought your Egyptian walking onion seed sets from us, please jump online to heirloomnaturally.au/shop, or visit us at any of our farmers markets. We have seed sets available. They are lovely, they're organically grown, and they do give us the most divine and fabulously sized Egyptian walking onions every season. But the most important thing is to eat well, stay well.